Time, have I?
Yep,
Okay.
unfortunately. Okay, thank you, Senator Warden.
Thanks, Chair. Hi there. I just wanted to ask about the eReefs project. Am I correct that BOM's got carriage of that?
Well, we're a participant in the eReefs project. It's in fact spearheaded by the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, and the project involves a consortium of institutions, including the Bureau.
Okay, thank you. My understanding is that one of the objectives of the eReefs program is to come up with some solid targets for water quality pollution reduction targets, which is due under Action 2 of the Reef Water Quality Protection Plan by June 2015. Will that be achieved on time?
No, I wouldn't say that that's an objective of the eReefs project at all. That is an objective of the Queensland State Government and probably the Commonwealth. I'm not sure of the details of that, but eReefs is really about building the tools that would allow us to better understand the interaction between sediment and nutrient loads from catchments and their fate in the Great Barrier Reef lagoons, their visualisation technologies and modelling technologies and so on. So it's not the job of the project at all to prepare those targets.
Okay, so that target under the Reef Water Quality Protection Plan, not your bag to be responsible for meeting?
No.
Just
No, not at all. No.
Sorry, I'm just finding it a little hard to hear. Would you mind turning up the volume on the mics, please, Hansard? Thank you.
Perhaps I could clarify what the
Yes,
Bureau is working on.
Thank you.
There's really two components to the Bureau's work. The first has been to build a thing called a water quality dashboard, marine water quality dashboard, which takes remote sensing imagery, so images taken from satellites, and to infer changes in water quality in the Great Barrier Reef lagoon through time. So on the Bureau's website now there is an operational service that allows you to go back and see, I think within about 3 days of the last overpass of the satellite, how the water quality through the reef is actually changing. And that looks at phenomena like sediment loads and algal loads and temperature changes as well. So that work is now operational, and we're now moving on to the second phase of the project, which is about building a comprehensive hydrodynamic model for the Great Barrier Reef Lagoon. In other words, to simulate forward in time how the currents, temperatures, sediment loads, nutrient loads are going to change in relation to the meteorological forcing variables and the amount of material coming out of the catchments, both runoff volumes and pollution loads.
Do you provide that information to the environmental assessment team that looks at new applications for dredging and dumping in the Great Barrier Reef?
All that information is publicly available on the Bureau's website, so it would be accessible to anyone that needed to use it.
Okay, so you don't have any sort of special communication with that assessment team? They can just look on a website like anybody else can?
I'm not sure about that team per se, but of course we work closely with the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority and AIMS and others that are involved in those processes. So there's a high level of awareness, I suppose, of the products, and of course there's continuing interaction between those institutions.
Are you aware whether Gabrumpa or the department are using those tools?
Yes, I am aware that
hydrodynamic
the Marine Water Quality Dashboard, which is the only product available at this stage, is being used in the report carding process, I think it is. But you'd have to really talk to the Marine Park Authority on that. I'm a little unclear exactly how it's used.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just to clarify, is the hydrodynamic model that you're building, does that sit under the marine dashboard, or is
No,
that...
that's a completely different product, and we're
Okay,
only...
that's the bit that I'm interested in.
Oh, okay, no, we're only starting to develop that.
Okay.
It'll be several years until that is operational.
By which time the reef will be overrun with dredging and dumping, but that's not your responsibility. I want to move just very quickly to climate change. I'm interested in how many statements BOM has made on climate change in the last 12 months, be they reports, publications, media releases.
Our last major publication was State of the Climate 2014, and that was published in March, and that was associated with quite a bit of media coverage at the time. The report is available on the Bureau's website, and along with some videos and some kind of shorter notes and stuff. We're very proud of the material that we put together. We think it's of a high quality and quite accessible. Since that time, normally we only report on this every 2 years, but ongoing, always in the intercessional period, of course, scientists are publishing papers on various technical dimensions of climate change. I don't know how many, frankly, but there'd be a range of papers. We could give you some guidance on notice if you'd like.
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I'm just interested in whether the quantum of the Meteorological Bureau's statements on climate change has stayed the same, increased or decreased in the last 12 months compared to previously.
Sure, we can give you a bit of a sense of that
Thank you.
by looking at the numbers.
Thanks, Chair.